Hi, my name is Leo Meyer, and I'm a composer for film, video games, television, and whatever else you can think of that might need music. Spitfire Audio have recently done a competition/challenge for their Hans Zimmer Month promotion, in which they challenged people to compose their own scores to a short video clip featuring images in the style of a nature documentary. So the video is basically split into a few sections, which I've marked in the marker track, as you can see here. So the whole thing starts by fading into this very foggy and subtle landscape. We're then working our way towards more landscapes, focusing on a few shots of raindrops and water starting to flow, which then slowly builds up into larger streams and bodies of water, more movement in the water, and just generally a lot more movement in the images. Which all then culminates in this lovely little aerial shot of the large lake before the video fades into the end. And so I kind of tried to stick with that narrative arc of building from the subtle, foggy landscapes through the downpouring of rain upwards into the motion of the individual streams and rivers, and then building up towards that beautiful shot of the lake at the end. So I thought I would just go over the cue here for a bit and focus on some of the sounds I've used, why I've used them, and different combinations of sounds and libraries that I've used for my cue. So the whole thing starts out with just static shots of various landscapes and fog. So I've made the cue kind of sneak in through a very long sustained chord played mostly by stringed instruments, the foundation of which are the strings consort from the Abbey Road 1 library. So I've got the high strings and also the low strings playing the same chord, just an octave apart. And then I'm adding in the British Drama Toolkit on top of that, which just kind of adds some extra definition and character to these long and beautiful chords. Just a bit of variation and a bit of interesting textures. I'm then also adding some woodwinds from the orchestral Swarm by Spitfire Audio, which on their own sound like this. And I'm also adding in the combo swell from the orchestral Swarm, which is a swell of randomly timed pizzicato notes, which I think just goes really well with his initial build-up of the cue. And as we kind of focus in on some shots of rain dripping off various leaves and all, I think that just really goes together nicely. Yeah, I'm also adding the Rhythmic Waves plugin from the Olafur Arnold's Stratus library, which again adds some seemingly random dynamics to the cue, this time in the form of piano notes, basically a more melodic content, even though it's not a particular melody of sorts, it's just different pulses of piano notes. I'm also using a piano library here from the Contemporary Drama Toolkit, just to add some extra definition. Every now and again when there's a chord change, you get this extra defined piano note, which just really adds to the chord changes and just really makes it all come together nicely. Also using some of the electric cello, which again just adds this really lovely high-end fragile sound to the whole mix and just makes the whole thing come together really nicely. Yeah, also there's a few synth textures. I'm not going to go over all of them, but there's just again more differentiation, more variation in the chords or in the sound. Just adding to this vast blend of different sounds coming together. I'm also using the Arctic Swells from the Spitfire Labs range in the beginning of the cue, just once to mark a camera transition, which I think just goes together really well. Throughout the cue, you'll hear the soft boom from the Abbey Road 1 percussion, which is a very low and subtle soft boom, which I'm using to emphasize some of the cuts in the video, most notably during the second half of the video. I'll talk about that in a bit. So as the cue progresses, we get to a solo violin melody. For which I'm using the Spitfire Audio solo violin. But because that sound, I think, didn't feel right on its own, I'm also having this melody played in the British Drama Toolkit. And I think those two sounds just work together wonderfully. It just really fits well together. Again, you get the best of both worlds by layering those sounds on top of each other, and it just works really well. I'm also having this melody in the vocals from the Contemporary Drama Toolkit. I'm combining the hum and o articulations just to make them stick out a bit and have not just like a defined sound of vowel, and instead to blend the two, which I think makes the whole thing just that little bit more mysterious and ethereal by having the two different articulations just kind of mesh with each other. As we approach the second half of the cue, I'm bringing in some brass, which is the horns and low brass from Abbey Road 1, just to add this extra majestic feel. As we get to the beautiful aerial shot of a lake, and just adding this majestic feel, I'm also bringing in the choir from Spitfire's Labs range. Which I think just really brings the second half or final bit of the cue. Just that gives it that extra oomph, or what would you call it? Just adding to the beauty of that shot in particular. This is also where I'm bringing in the string ostinato, which I'm starting one bar before the actual cut happens, just to kind of have that change feel a bit more dynamic. So the basis of this has been the spiccato patch from the orchestral swarm, which perhaps you wouldn't think of first when you think of spiccato notes, but I think those just have a really beautiful quality to them. But on their own, I don't think they sound quite right, so for this cue, so I'm layering them with the staccato combo patch from Albion 1, and already the sound's getting a lot fuller, a lot wider, and just more pronounced. And then to round things off, I'm also using the low and high strings from Abbey Road 1. And we get this full string ostinato played seemingly by a larger string section, a few octaves apart. And all of those together. I think this final bit just really broadens up and opens up the cue during these majestic shots of that lake and landscapes in the background. And then I'm just leaving the more ambient chords to fade out over the end of the cue. Right, so that's been a quick look at the cue that I've made for the Spitfire Audio Hans Zimmer Month Challenge. I hope you enjoyed this short video. I hope you found it interesting, or at the very least you were entertained at my terrible inability to compose and mix music. So thanks for watching and take care.